Rethinking Ministry, on the other hand, is where we are now. And we see that Webster's definition of ministry is that which serves. Therefore, a ministry is that which actually meets a need, and for a need to be met, there are two things. First of all, it has to be a real need. A real need. We can't meet a need if it's not really there. For example, I want to start a home for unwed mothers. What is the obvious need that must exist? Have to have unwed mothers who need a place. Right. So you've got to make sure there's a real need that you're starting. When I was in the last church that I served, our area had a homeless problem that a lot of people didn't want to admit existed. And we had a ministry that ministered to the homeless. And there were still needs. I mean, we had literally hundreds of people who flocked to that area because it was a resort area, and there were a lot of jobs in the summertime. They would come, and then once the jobs dried up, during the off season, they were without work or home. And the thing is, that's not good for the Visitors Bureau, the convention people, and the people who advertise the tourist industry to admit that there's a homeless problem. So the only people who really were able to minister to these homeless people were those who admitted there was a problem and were willing to tackle it. And so we need to admit that the problem is real. We need to admit there's a real need. Secondly, we need a person or resource who can effectively meet that need. So there's a need over here for to help someone with homelessness. We need a facility, a person who knows either what it's like to be homeless or what it's like to minister to the homeless, and all the different needs they have to be involved in this ministry if we're going to meet the need. It's not enough to have a burden for the homeless. We need to recognize a real need, and we need someone to meet that need. And so with the other example of unwed mothers, we need a place to provide them housing, lodging, and we need a staff that can meet their specific needs, because they're going to be very different, say, than the general homeless population. So got to have a need, a real need, and someone or something that can effectively meet that need. If you have a need in the community for people who can't get to church, and it's a real need because they don't have transportation, they can't drive. Maybe they're children, maybe they're seniors, but they don't, it's a real need, you recognize that. What kind of solution do you have for that need? A bus ministry, yeah. Or at least people willing to go and pick up other people and bring them to church. It's not enough to recognize the need and have a burden for that need and say, okay, we'll drop off cab money for them each week. We need the resources that actually help meet that need, because the cab money may or may not meet the need. They may take a cab, or they may not use that money for that. So the real need is get the transportation. So the real solution is going to be providing the people and resources to make that happen, to get them where they need to go. All right, let's move forward. So if we want to recognize that effective ministries can happen, we need to realize that they're usually based on the knowledge of needs and the interest of the people we're trying to reach. Okay? The most effective ministry in the church are those that are based on knowledge of needs and interest of people the church is trying to reach and trying to minister to. So, if I'm in an upscale neighborhood where everybody drives luxury vehicles, a bus ministry is not going to be the kind of ministry that's going to be effective there. Does that make sense? We have to recognize that in order for us to make a difference, because those people need ministering to as well, but in a different way. So we need to recognize what their needs are, what their interests are, and address those in trying to minister to them.